Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING. Get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator exclusively on DRF Bets.
And welcome back to Past the Wire TV and our little series on the Breeders' Cup Win and You're In races, of which we saw 3 yesterday. That makes it 4 now altogether, at least in the U.S. We have already done the Shoemaker Mile and Count Again's Win and You're In victory in that race. Yesterday on the Belmont Stakes card, we saw 3 Win and You're In Breeders' Cup races. 3 nice performances. We'll talk about them and, try and identify some early contenders and also some pretenders, when it comes to the big show in November. And we'll talk about the, benefits, if any, or maybe even detriments, if any, of qualifying this early and what it means. And, first off, salute, hats off to a great Belmont Stakes performance by Mo Donegal and Todd Pletcher. 1-2, Mo Donegal wins. Nest runs second, the filly for Pletcher. Great performances by both. Nest stumbled a little bit. Might have cost her, a closer second. I don't think it was going to matter for the win. And we also saw, we saw a lot of great performances, but Jack Christopher was absolutely electrifying. I joked that he could have run back 5 races later and outdid what Conquistador Cielo did, winning the Met Mile, and then 5 days later winning the Belmont. Jack Christopher was ridiculous in the Woody Stevens, ran off the screen, electrifying, and could have come back 5 races later instead of 5 days later, and looked like he could have won the Belmont Stakes. He was that exciting. And speaking of exciting, we're going to start the Win and You're In show with Flightline in the Met Mile, who I think we learned a lot about yesterday. We knew Flightline was fast. We knew he was very fast. We knew he was untested. And we also know that he's, likely not the soundest horse in the barn or in the game. After all, he doesn't make it to the races very often. When he does, he's awesome. But that's always going to be a concern with him. And, let's talk about his race in the Met. He broke, not the best, a little slow, wound up behind horses, tried to rush up on the inside, and Junior Alvarado aboard Speaker's Corner, who was probably the other or the second most serious contender in that small but select field. Junior race rode Flavien Prat a little bit if you watched the head-on, and kind of closed it off, made it tight, forced him to take back a little bit. Prat tried to come up again. Junior did the same thing, so Prat was able to angle outside of him. And when you watch the head-on of that long run down the 1 mile chute of the Belmont backstretch, you could see that when he got outside of him, Junior tried to carry him out a little bit too, and race rode him again. Didn't matter when Pratt pushed the button and Flightline was in the clear outside. He was able to roll right past him. He was able to do what he's been doing, which is just kind of scampering away from the field. I will say this. Yesterday was the first time Pratt had to really ask him, and he responded, and he had to run and get into him to win. it wasn't a hard fought win by any means, but he had a run. He wasn't, necessarily under wraps until very, very late in the race. Ran fast, all good, no knock. And what we learned was that, Flightline, we knew he was fast. Now we know he's got some grit and toughness to him as well. So that makes him even more dangerous if he can keep it all together and stay on the racetrack. Now, he was supposed to run once leading up into the Met. He didn't. He was forced to miss that race, and now he qualified as a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Mile. They keep talking Breeders' Cup Classic with him. He's not in that race yet. I suspect, and this is just speculation, that the plan will be maybe running the Awesome again around 2 turns at Santa Anita and then run, 2 turns again in the Classic if they're truly going to go for the Classic. I think that would be his easiest way in. He's not yet in the Classic. This win and you're in, like I said, was for the Breeders' Cup Mile. So he's in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and I think that it's good for him and his connections and John Sadler because, now they're in that race. They can always fall back on that, and it may turn out that as much as they want him in the Classic and want to win the Classic and think he's good enough to win the Classic, he may just be a miler, and they've got that to fall back on. So if he does have another hiccup, if he does have another setback, if he can't get or can't get him to the races or get him into the Classic, they've got that mile to fall back on, and I think that takes a little bit of the edge and pressure off the connections to kind of feel that pressure, so to speak, to get him into a prep race for the Classic. They can obviously win a race like the Met off since the Malibu for months. So if the worst scenario happened and they had a run in the Breeders' Cup Mile off the layoff, they already did it in the Met, so they could probably go into that race, with a chance. Could you do that in the Breeders' Cup Classic? I don't know. It's an awfully tall order, or certainly a taller order to win the Breeders' Cup Classic off since June. Not that it's no cakewalk to do it in a mile, but like I said, he's already won the Met off the layoff. So, we'll see how that plays out. But big props to Flightline. Good job by Sadler, keeping him together, getting him there, and getting him home. Nice ride by Pratt. Nice ride by Junior too, trying everything he could to kind of level the playing field when he wasn't on the best horse. And we look for that in a rider, and we're going to talk about that in a very close, maybe even the next episode of Unfiltered on Past the Wire TV, where we're going to talk about the differences in jockeys between what we are going to call a pilot or a passenger. And if you're a jockey, you want to check out the show and you want to see which list you fall on, because it's better to be a pilot than a passenger. And there is a distinct difference, and we're going to get into Michael Wilson and I differentiating that. And I think it's going to be a really interesting show. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are as well. Now, back to the Breeders' Cup win and you're in business at hand. Let's talk a little bit about the turf sprint. The Jaipur Grade 1, 6 furlongs on the Belmont turf. Qualifies for the Breeders' Cup turf sprint. Win and you're in. Casa Creed, hard knocker, older horse. I said going into the race, Casa Creed, when he's in the mood, he's a very, very strong finisher. The problem is he doesn't always get the trip, and he's not always in the mood. And when he's not in the mood, he's just, not the same animal as he is when he is in the mood. And when he's in the mood, he's a very, very fast finisher and a very strong closer, especially in the turf sprints, 6 furlongs, 7 furlongs. Once you get out to a mile or any further than that, yeah, he's still really good, but he's not as strong a finisher. He doesn't come home quite as fast, in my opinion. So I don't think it really matters for him as far as qualifying early or qualifying late. Flightline, we know if he makes it back to the Breeders' Cup, whether it be the mile or the Classic, he's going to be a contender. He's one of the most hyped and maybe one of the most talented horses around, and that we've seen in a while. Casa Creed is what we would call, a hard knocking, solid horse that when things go right can win this level of race. But come November, you're going to have some younger, fresher, maybe peaking horses, those European horses to deal with, and all of that. I've got to guess that Casa Creed, he'll be in there. He'll be somebody to consider, but odds are there's going to be somebody that's sitting on a better race than him that day. So I'm going to say at this point he's probably on the pretender list for the Breeders' Cup as opposed to the contender list, where Flightline is clearly a very serious contender regardless of what happens if he makes it to the race. I mean, a horse that runs that infrequently, you've always got to be cognizant of. It could come to an end very quick. It can come to an end very quick with any racehorse, even the soundest, toughest of animals. So with a horse like Flightline, who certainly doesn't fall into that category, we don't know. So we'll keep an eye on that, and hopefully all goes well and he's there and makes it all that much more exciting, as if the Breeders' Cup needs anything more to make it exciting. If you love horse racing, the Breeders' Cup is the World Series and then some. Now, the other win in your in race, which I particularly enjoyed because the horse that won it, I was on record saying last year, at the end of the year, she had developed into what I thought was a beast of a filly. And earlier this year, I said I think she's going to be sitting on a monster year. I thought she'd beat Latruska yesterday. She did. She beat Malathat as well. She beat Search Results as well. She beat Bonnie South as well. That was a very small field in the Ogden Phipps, but a very, very, very good one. And Clairiere got it done. And, since I would say she won the cotillion at Parks last year, ran huge in the Breeders' Cup, won her comeback race easy, didn't get the right setup or trip in the race at Oakland Park where Latruska beat her. But since those 4 races, she really turned the corner and developed into a top-notch filly. I think she's going to be one of the better fillies this year, if not the best of the lot. I think she's right in that conversation and certainly has the ability to develop to the top of the class. And I say she's an absolute contender for the distaff. And if, Steve Asmussen knows how to keep a horse good, they can stay good all year long. They can keep performing. They can bring it every time. And she's rock solid. I mean, I was very impressed with her race yesterday. I expected it. She delivered. The thing about her, I guess the main concern, and again, we're early out. We're just talking about these, winning your in horses, is she likes to come from out of it. Joel Rosario fits her perfectly, and pace is gonna impact her chances. So the more speed and the faster the pace, and the more horses that are battling up front, the better Clairiere's chances are going to be come November at Keeneland. But she's a nice filly, and I think she's going to be one of the better fillies this year. So there we've got 3 Breeders' Cup winning your ends in the book. We've got Flightline, who was, as impressive as he needed to be and could be. We had Casa Creed, who was just, rock solid. But, we talked about, what it's going to mean for him for the course of the year. And then Clairiere, who's a heck of a filly already, but in my opinion, still a rising star and still putting it all together and getting better. So that's our little recap of the Breeders' Cup win and your in races. For those of you that bothered to watch our Past the Wire Belmont Stakes Day seminar, you had a really good weekend, really good Friday and Saturday. We all did. We enjoyed it. We had a lot of winners. We were rock solid on a lot of horses, some nice prices, and a lot of people spoke about how there weren't really a lot of opportunities on Belmont Stakes Day. Nonsense. They were there, and we capitalized on them. Next seminar is probably going to be for the Travers. Then we'll do our annual Big Breeders' Cup one at the end of the year in November. But we've got the Belmont one up if you care to watch it, and there's a lot of good takeaways in it even after the races, as far as handicapping angles and different strategies and different myths from realities and things like that can really help a lot going forward. There's a couple of interesting funny stories at the end as well that you may get a kick out of if you like racetrack tales and things of that nature, like a lot of us do. Thanks for tuning in. Past the Wire TV, our Breeders' Cup Win and You're In recaps. We'll have another episode of Unfiltered coming out this week. A lot of stuff on the website. A lot about Royal Ascot. You know I love the Europeans and Royal Ascot, one of my favorite betting meets of the year. Right up there with Saratoga, Breeders' Cup, Derby weekend, Royal Ascot. Tremendous opportunities. If you're a Tracking Trips member, I'm going to be putting stuff up there about my thoughts on some of the Royal Ascot races. So great racing and competition. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back with more as usual. And we'll see you on the next episode of Unfiltered. If we don't see you before that, on PastTheWire.com. So ciao for now.
And hope for the best.
Vekoma broke well on the outside, and
but you don't expect to get speed like this.
Inside, Vekoma continues to battle on down the rail. It is Vekoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
Nobody does it better.